David Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Attorney-General. Is his objective under the new foreshore and seabed bill to settle the protracted controversy around foreshore and seabed?
The Honourable Chris Finlayson.
Mr. Speaker, the government's objective is to pass legislation which addresses the injustice of the current legislation, including the extinguishment of uninvestigated property rights and the removal of the right of people to go to court, and to balance the rights and interests of all New Zealanders, including the guarantee of public access. Hopefully this will settle the protracted controversy around the issues of the foreshore and seabed.
The Honourable David Parker.
Does the Attorney accept that the Labour Party has contributed constructively to the relatively benign political climate which has existed for the settlement of foreshore and seabed issues since the election, including by submitting to the review panel that the right of the court to confer a customary title should be restored rather than relying upon negotiated outcomes which a future government could frustrate?
The Honourable Chris Finlayson.
Yes, I've made it clear in this House on a number of occasions that I genuinely believe the opposition has engaged in the review, particularly the submission of Dr Cullen, because I genuinely believe that that party wants this matter to be resolved in a just and durable manner for the benefit of all New Zealanders.
Supplementary.
The Honourable David Parker.
Has the Attorney been provided with an acknowledgement from the Maori Party leaders, Honourable Tariana Turia and the Honourable Peter Sharples, that this bill, if passed, will represent a full and final settlement of the legal framework for foreshore and seabed rights?
The Honourable Chris Finlayson.
I have neither received nor have I asked for any particular written acknowledgement from my colleagues in the Maori Party. However, I have seen statements they have made indicating their firm support for the legislation.
Supplementary.
The Honourable David Parker.
Will the Attorney be seeking an acknowledgement from the Maori Party leaders that this bill, if passed, will represent a full and final settlement of the legal framework for foreshore and seabed rights?
The Honourable Chris Finlayson.
No, I will not be seeking any such acknowledgement, nor can I reasonably be expected to. I have indicated to the House that the Maori Party have, through various public statements, indicated their support. I have worked very closely with them in development of this legislation. Any questions of the Maori Party should be directed to the Maori Party.
Supplementary.
Mr. Speaker. Kia ora tātou katoa. To the Attorney-General, has he seen the submission from Te Hunga Roia Māori o Aotearoa, the Māori Law Society, presented to the Ministerial Review Panel last year, which reported that, quote, it remains a concern that a fundamental issue regarding customary and Aboriginal rights was mismanaged by the Crown to such an extent that it caused gross racial tension, end of quote. And how does he think the new legislation will address such protracted and profound concerns emerging from Labour's 2004 Act?
The Honourable Chris Finlayson.
Mr. Speaker, I read that submission some time ago. I think the current bill addresses the core grievances associated with the current legislation, the ones I outlined in the answer to the primary question about extinguishment of uninvestigated customary title and the removal of that fundamental right of access to justice. The bill follows a period of extensive consultation that tries to balance the rights and interests of all New Zealanders.
The Honourable David Parker.
Why will the Minister not agree to seek an acknowledgement from the Maori Party that this bill will represent a full and final settlement of the legal framework for foreshore and seabed rights, given that he has today told the House that he thinks that it's important that as a country we settle this and move forward?
The Honourable Chris Finlayson.
Because I'm very satisfied with the statements that the Maori Party have made, and it's not for me to go round demanding written acknowledgements from other political parties. I'm a humble worker in the vineyard. Those matters are best addressed to the Prime Minister.
David Garrett.
Supplementary to the Attorney-General.
Order. David Garrett.
Why was a version of Section 40 of the Foreshore and Seabed Act 2004, a section which specifically prohibited iwi owners charging for beach use, not included in the new Marine and Coastal Area Bill?
The Honourable Chris Finlayson.
Mr. Speaker, Section 40 deals with foreshore and seabed reserves. There will be no such thing under the new legislation. We are dealing with customary title, and in previous answers to that member I've outlined how customary title will work.
David Garrett.
Will he amend the bill to include a specific prohibition on Maori New Zealanders charging other New Zealanders for beach use? Something he claimed in the House last week already existed, and if not, why not?
The Honourable Chris Finlayson.
I maintain, and I continue to maintain, and I will maintain until I bore everyone silly, that the question of access is clear. If the member wishes to make a submission to the Select Committee or put down his concerns in writing to me, I will of course consider them.
Point of order, David Garrett.
Because the question was very carefully worded and referred to a prohibition on charging. The Minister then gave us an answer about access. Access and charging are two very different things. He didn't go anywhere near charging.
I realise the member has asked a very precise question, and in the circumstances I'll let him repeat it, and I'd ask all members of the House to be more quiet so there can be no question about being unheard, and I want to hear the answer very clearly as well. David Garrett may repeat his question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will he amend the bill to include a specific prohibition on Māori owners charging other New Zealanders for beach use, something he claimed in the House last week already existed? And if not, why not?
The Honourable Chris Finlayson.
Because I believe the issue is very clear, but as I have said to the honourable member in an answer in the previous iteration to this question, I'm very happy if he wants to put his concerns in writing or if he wants to make a submission to the Select Committee on the issue of charging, and everything he says will be carefully considered.
Tauraro Flavel.
Does he agree with the Human Rights Commission in 2009 that the 2004 Act was a decisive setback in Crown tangata whenua relationships and also in relationships between Māori and other New Zealanders, and how will the Marine and Coastal Area Bill improve this situation?
Mr. Speaker, I believe the bill improves the situation by more appropriately balancing the interests of all New Zealanders. It provides for recognition of uninvestigated customary title and customary rights while guaranteeing public access and recreational use, interests that the Ministerial Review Panel described as the birthright of all New Zealanders.
Question number 11, Amy Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.